NFC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Ali Moreno, Craig Burley and Stevie Nicol. Paolo will be here a little later on to discuss Icardi inevitably scoring on his return to the Inter Milan side. Plus, we'll be reviewing a tense match between Valencia and Real Madrid. But let's start, shall we, in the Premier League. Spurs' new home, a 2-0 victory over Crystal Palace. Harry Kane, you could just see throughout the game, Craig was desperate to get the goal, but in the end it was Son who got the opening goal. In the end, it finishing 2-0. Crystal Palace kind of the perfect opponents because in the end, Spurs just a better team.
Because they offered not a lot.
Yeah, nothing.
You know, disappointing. I know the story's not Palace, but, you know, they're just below mid-table. They're not going to get relegated. And, you know, I just think for the money that's pouring into some of these lower half Premier League teams, you've got to expect a bit better fight than that. If this league's going to be ultra competitive, which is not when you see some of the other teams. However, it was good for Spurs to get this little run of bad results put behind them in this new stadium. That's out the way now as well, and it does look nice. And they absolutely battered Palace. It was one-way traffic, and it was just what everybody needed. They get the 3 points. Hopefully for Spurs, they're back on the front foot, and obviously they're out at Wembley now, and they've got somewhere that they can call home.
We discussed before how big the transition could be into a new stadium. We've seen teams struggle, Arsenal, for example, in the past. But this is the ideal start for Spurs.
Well, it gets rid of the doubters. It gets rid of everybody, including us, bringing up what happened to them when they started at Wembley. And so it's all been put to bed. And more importantly, that bad run has been put to bed as well. And if you look at the fixture that Tottenham have, they've got lots of games at home against teams that will be in the same sort of position as Palace, who really don't have that much to play for. So, listen, it's good all round for Tottenham. We'll discuss their prospects in the top four in a moment, but of course there are other games taking place today with significance to who will finish in the Champions League next season. Chelsea with a 3-0 victory over Brighton. 7 changes were made to the side that laboured against Cardiff, of course, with that 2-1 controversial win. The likes of Loftus-Cheek coming in, getting a goal. Hudson-Odoi coming in, getting an assist to set up Giroud. Hazard brilliant once again. Now, here's the weird question, Ali, with this. How much do we read into the fact that finally Sarri's given in and given these players an opportunity? Or how much do we just say, yeah, but it's just Brighton?
I don't think he's given in. I just think he was rotating the team, and this seemed to be an opportunity for Callum Hudson-Odoi to play and Robin Loftus-Cheek for him to play as well. I don't think that this guarantees from here on out that Hudson-Odoi is going to be on the field. And that's the part that it's hard to understand, because every time he touches the ball in the final third, he's creating something for himself or for others. And I don't care how young he is, how old he is, what he has done in the past, what he's yet to do, what his potential is. I just know that when the guy's on the field, he changes the game. He impacts the game. Now, if you have that on one side, and then on the other side you have Eden Hazard, who individually could probably be the best player in the Premier League in terms of taking players on and being able to create space for himself, now you have a different mix of players, and now you have opportunities being created for guys in the middle. And Giroud comes in, scores a goal. I mean, everything today for Chelsea was perfect, which begs the question, how come this doesn't happen more often?
How much does this change his mindset? How much should it change his mindset?
Well, I think Gab McCarthy said he's quite a stubborn individual, so I don't know. One thing's for sure, like Ross Barkley played quite well for England, but when him and Kovacic are in that midfield with the personnel that's there, Jorginho and Kante, the dynamic's not right. And when Loftus-Cheek gives him a bit of everything, he's got quick feet, he's big and strong, he can go box to box, he's a decent passer, he's physical. And I just felt that, I said a few weeks ago, that he should be getting more game times in England International. Hudson-Odoi we've talked about a lot, and I would be disappointed if he reverted back to Pedro and to Kovacic or Barkley. I mean, I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility that this guy's going to do that. But I think if I was those two players in particular, albeit it's against Brighton who are down the wrong end of the league, I think I would be knocking on the door to the manager saying, listen, what do I need to do to get game time here? Because you played me in the Europa League, you played me in the Premier League in this game, I delivered for you, now you're not going to leave me out. And I like to think that would be the attitude.
But to that point, Hudson-Odoi was left on the bench against Cardiff and did not even play, and they needed a goal. And so if you need somebody to create a chance for you, wouldn't that be the obvious choice coming off the bench? And yet he hasn't been. So what makes you believe that from here on out it's going to be, yep, Hudson-Odoi, you're going to play? We don't know that.
So the only thing you know is he doesn't do the obvious.
No.
I mean, we've looked at the team sheet and at the start of the game and went, wow, they're both playing. You know, for so many weeks now, we've been saying, why are these guys not playing? Why are these guys not playing? Never played. In fact, not only did they not play, but the likes of Hazard didn't play either. So then you look at the game today, and he throws you for a loop.
Yeah.
Wow, they're all playing. The only thing you know is the right thing to do would be to keep that team on the field for the next game. You know what? There's no chance. He's going to go back to the bed.
Why would you
He's
change
going to
that?
go back to... Because it's Sarri.
I know, but why
Because
would you
it's
change it?
Sarri.
The old adage of not changing a winning team never really goes away, even in the modern day when people get carried away with lactic acid zones and red zones and all this sort of stuff and blood tests to see where you fit. Oh, you can't play because you're a little low, all that nonsense. But even in this day and age, a winning team needs a run together.
Sure.
And to keep changing things is detrimental. This top four fight between these four teams now is so hard to call because they are so hit and miss.
Yeah.
That was much better from Chelsea today. They were awful at the weekend. Yep. We had Man United on a super run, and their bubble seems to have burst a little bit. And Tottenham have sort of woke up, and Arsenal have put a good run together. So it's really difficult to work out who's going to actually scramble in there in the end.
You know what I'm going to ask you in a minute, though.
You're not going to ask that.
Let's just take a look at how the league stands and regarding that race
tell you now.
for the top four. Spurs back to third in the table on 64 points. Arsenal on 63 with Chelsea. United, this was the worst set of results for United watching on, especially, of course, after that defeat yesterday against Wolves. They're sick. 3-1 now, by the way, according to bookmakers, to make it into the Champions League. Let's just remind you, shall we, of the run-in. Arsenal have got a game in hand. That is against Everton. Elsewhere, as Stevie mentioned, Spurs now have got 4 games at their new home. Arsenal got a good run, but 5 of those are away from home. Chelsea still got to play the likes of Chelsea still got to play Liverpool and United. And for United, they've obviously got City and Chelsea back-to-back. There's a lot of things that can happen, I know, over the next 6 matches.
My eyes are glazed over. Look at that.
If you're Arsenal. But right now, which 2 teams have got the momentum?
Spurs.
Spurs?
Arsenal. Simple. Simple. You don't know what you're going to get with Chelsea. We're sitting here already just 2 seconds ago and told you that come Saturday, Chelsea's going to be back to the old Chelsea, so forget them. So then, Man United, are they going to get out of this funk? We're looking at Arsenal saying at home they're fantastic, question away from home. You look at United right now, hopeless away from home, even worse away from home. So all things for me point to...
There was a lot of away from home.
Is it 2 away from homes?
Well, it seems like they play away from home at the moment, whether they're at home.
And of course, all of these teams are in Europe. Everyone's in Europe. You imagine Spurs will be out of Europe soon, probably United as well.
Okay.
Looking at it all, though, Ali, which 2 have you got? Because you said Spurs not for a bit.
I know, this is a fluid situation.
I know,
and
it is true, but it's the way that it's all unfolding.
And it keeps changing. And when you look at the schedules, outside of Manchester City, for Manchester United, if you look at it, you got everything to play for because you're going to play against Chelsea. Well, obviously, it would be a direct opponent. I'm going to make a case for Manchester United.
Right.
It's not going to be a strong case, and it's probably
you don't have to.
Okay, I'm not going to make a case. all I'll say is I think Arsenal is going in.
Yep.
Manchester United comes back into the race, and they make it in as well.
Really?
Wow. I would say if United don't get 6 points in the next 2 games, that's West Ham at home and Everton away.
Right.
They're not going to do it. If they get the 6 points, they've given themselves a chance.
Yeah.
I think they'll be out of it if they don't get against those 2 teams. But although they've got a lot more away games, I think Tottenham, they've got home games, I think Tottenham will get in. I've got a sneaky feeling for Arsenal. I'm going to go Tottenham and Arsenal.
They're more consistent than the other 2, right?
Yes.
So there you go.
Okay.
Of course, that could change.
Not the last time. Not the last
fluid,
time.
Very fluid.
You're going to ask us again in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I know. Meanwhile, the title race, who cares about that with the top 4 going on? Manchester City with a 2-0 win over Cardiff. It's very difficult to say too much about this game because it went pretty much exactly
we just looked at the bench. I was just looking at...
What's
the first thing I do with City a lot, and I look at the bench.
Yes.
And I look down and go, wow.
Well, because Aguero didn't start, obviously, we knew that because of injury. Sterling as well was
Sterling
rested.
on the bench, Bernardo Silva on the bench, Gundogan on the bench, Company on the bench, the list goes on. I don't think there was. You did sit in the room before.
Yeah, I did.
I have to throw you under the bus here.
No, it's
Go
true.
ahead.
Go ahead. I thought, oh, maybe
a surprise in the Man City. When was the first goal?
Yeah, 5 minutes De Bruyne scoring.
Cardiff are really treading water now. That's why that game against Chelsea was huge for them. That went against them because of the officials. Man City are looking in fantastic shape at the moment. Fernandinho back fit again.
Yeah, they certainly are. Just a reminder then how things stand at the top of the table after that win for Manchester City. Back to a point clear of Liverpool. Now you take a look at who's going to make the top 4, boys. What's your... No, doesn't matter.
Spurs, Arsenal. What? No.
Real Madrid in action today away against Valencia at Mestalla. Zinedine Zidane, of course, perfect so far since returning as coach. 10 minutes ago before the break. Guedes makes it 1-0 to the hosts.
Little give and go after the missed clearance from Keylor Navas and then gets beaten at the near post.
I'm sorry. Look at Ramos closing the ball down. That's awful.
Is that not good?
Look, he's standing like 6-7 yards away. That's not how you defend.
You're going to have to give Ramos a break.
Seriously.
I mean, it's bullying.
It's a joke, though.
8 minutes into the second half, Keylor Navas makes the save.
Certainly think we know who's the
number one.
Number one again. Courtois, but they're always wiping the custard pie off his face.
Valencia make it 2-0. Ezekiel Garay against his old side.
Garay does well in beating Casemiro to the ball, attacks it. Casemiro doesn't get a jump on time. It's a good finish by Garay.
Real Madrid will get a penalty awarded in the 91st minute. Take a look at this. Sergio Ramos pushed in the back. However, they'd have a look at VAR and realise that Mr. Ramos was offside.
And VAR would be correct.
Yep.
Can't even bend his runs properly.
I'll leave him alone, you.
Stevie running VAR.
You're picking on him. Not nice.
Karim Benzema, though, proving he's a world-class striker once again, Stephen, with the goal to make it.
You always rely on him when it counts most. He always comes up with the goods.
Valencia 2, Real Madrid 1 there is how it finishes. Doesn't really have much significance to anything apart from Valencia and their aspirations to finish in the top 4. We learned nothing new, really, in a sense that Real Madrid have a lot of work to do over the summer to try and get this team going.
It's not just 1 or 2 players. It's a bunch of players in key positions. And oh, by the way, it's also a change in mentality and personality. You have to find an identity for this group because right now they have none.
And Gareth Bale starting on the bench. It's just interesting.
Well, he might find himself on the bench a lot next year, but he's getting paid big bucks.
A lot.
So he's not going to rush off, is he?
I don't think so. Just a reminder, ESPN FC back with you tomorrow. If you ever miss a show, you can download our podcast, which is available on the website. Let's head to Italy. Empoli in action, taking on Napoli. Juventus, of course, did that win yesterday, stretching the lead to 18 points at the top of the table. 28 minutes on the clock. And Farias makes it 1-0 Empoli.
We'll give it to Diego Farias, but it is a deflection of Peter Zielinski.
Oh, off the hand.
Well, it would have been a handball either way, but they'll take the goal.
However, Zielinski would go some way to redeeming himself just before half-time with this.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it was nice of defenders not to close him down, but in the end, what a strike. I mean, it's just pace that beats the goalkeeper. A little bit of movement at the end as well, maybe.
7 minutes into the second half, Empoli retake the lead, though. Di Lorenzo with the goal.
Goalie.
What's the goalie doing here?
What's here?
Hey! It's a big hop he takes in the end.
Is that not good? Zielinski then on the half volley. It's it wide.
He's been a busy man in this game, hasn't he?
He's been everywhere. Look at the celebrations in the crowd. Empoli then with a big win over Napoli. Meanwhile, Lazio, of course, looking to press for a top 4 place. A big win at the weekend against Inter. However, they find themselves goalless in the 87th minute against Spal. And then they concede a penalty. Now, this initially was called for diving.
Oh, well, it's not diving.
VAR then come into play. A penalty is awarded.
He's played for it. He's played for the little kick, hasn't he?
There steps up. And Spal take all 3 points. A big blow for Lazio and their Champions League aspirations. Meanwhile, the big story, no doubt. Genoa taking on Inter Milan, and look who is back in the starting.
There he is!
Mauro Icardi returns. More on him in a moment. First, though, Inter take the lead in the 15th minute. Gagliardini making it 1-0.
It's a good ball in by Kwaku Asamoah, putting the ball into a dangerous area, but it's an even better finish. Not easy to do by Gagliardini. Goalkeeper helps him out by diving out of the way.
5 minutes later, Icardi with the chance to make it 1-1. Denied there by the post.
Sell him.
You fancied him, didn't you?
Of course. He would, though, have the chance to make amends. Here, gets a penalty.
Yeah, no doubt. Penalty kick. Just a little tug here on the jersey.
It's a red card as well for Romero. So then, Mauro Icardi.
Chip him.
There it is.
Oh, pressure was killing him there.
No mistake, makes it 2-0. Now, if you remember, Perisic is reportedly one of the people who are most outraged about what's happened with Icardi and what his wife had to say a few weeks ago. But it'll be Icardi who provides Perisic with the assist to make it 3-0.
I see no problem. Everybody's getting along. Nothing to see here.
They look like buddies, don't they?
And then 9 minutes ago, Gagliardini makes it 4-0. The ball does cross the line.
Oh, just. 4-0, nothing to see.
No, indeed, a really good round of matches then for Inter, considering the results around them. They're now 4 points clear of AC Milan in third. Big favourites to qualify for the Champions League. Let's welcome Paolo Bandini in. Paolo, let's talk, shall we, about the Icardi situation. It was kind of written in the stars, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose there's a simple side to it, which is when you have no fit centre forwards in your team, having one who happens to be, I think he's now Inter's 8th highest scorer of all time after tonight, being able to put him back in your starting lineup makes a fair bit of sense. Of course, Luciano Spalletti at the weekend, when he didn't use him against Lazio, made out that this was a crazy idea that you would reintegrate a player immediately who'd shown no respect for the shirt, who'd required the mediation of a lawyer to be brought back into the fold, and what would it suggest if he brought him back against Lazio? Didn't even have him on the bench against Lazio, of course, and then against Genoa, all of 4 days later, he's willing to start him. But there you go, that's Luciano Spalletti for you as well. It certainly makes sense for Inter, and it's certainly going to make their push for the Champions League a whole lot easier if they have him available.
Paolo, we didn't really see clearly in the highlight there. How did the Inter fans who were at the game, how did they react?
Yeah, well, so the Curva Nord, which, the ultra groups from the Curva Nord put out a statement before the game saying basically we're finished with Icardi. Some of them actually went down to the training ground at the beginning of this week and made that point very clear. And during the game, we saw when Icardi scored, the cameras were on them. A few fans started to celebrate, and the capi, the guys in charge who lead the chanting at the front, were immediately signalling to them, no, we don't celebrate this, we get down. And it's a very odd scene when you see people whose sort of natural emotion is to be excited, trying to suppress it for a political point. But clearly, the relationship with that group of supporters is now thoroughly broken. It was already pretty tested. But you have to always remember with the fans in Italy, the ultras do not speak for all of the fans. There's a 60,000 plus average attendance at San Siro, and the Curva Nord ultras are only a small part of that. So whether or not everyone feels the same way, we'll have to see at the next home game.
How comfortable would you be, Stevie, putting this aside for the better of the team? What's happened?
I would have to suggest that there's been some sort of apology from Icardi. Otherwise, this doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. You know, when somebody steps out of line so far in a dressing room, there really has to be some sort of humbling experience, some apology, something like that. Otherwise, you're frozen out completely. And the fact that after he scored, most of his team went over and congratulated him tells me that, no question, he's apologised.
Could you have just swept it aside like that if you'd have been criticised publicly by your teammate's wife?
Well, and that's a big if. I mean, honestly, if my teammate's wife had gone on live television and said, look, this guy and that guy, they're no good. At some point, you have to address that. Whether it is with Icardi, you have to say face to face, hey, this is unacceptable. We can't have this. Because if that goes on, if that continues on, then this situation becomes untenable. As for Luciano Spalletti, who has very clearly said, you know what? I have my standards and my principles. Up until, of course, we need somebody to score goals, and here you go, Icardi, you're back in the team. You're setting a very dangerous precedent here that you're telling the other players, as long as you score goals, you can do whatever you want on this team.
I bet the Inter Milan player barbecue is a great
Yeah.
I think it's nice.
Yeah. Not awkward at all.
Yeah. Bring the wives, it'll be fine. Possibly go
bring
wrong.
them all.
Just a reminder, extra time available on our YouTube channel. Be sure. Stages of the German Cup, Bayern Munich taking on Heidenheim. What a game this turned out to be. Heidenheim are 6th at the moment in the second tier of German football. 12 minutes in, Goretzka making it 1-0.
Sonar marker by Heidenheim, well, it didn't work. There's only one player attacking this ball, that's Goretzka. Wide open, 1-0.
Now, this would really define the rest of the match, as Sule would be given initially a yellow card, changed to a red, thanks to VAR. Was this the right decision? Was there coverage here, Stevie?
Coverage, yes, but not close enough. That's definitely a red card for me. There's no way Kimmich is going to get there, or Rafinha, I should say. And Sule deservedly goes off.
So then Heidenheim would make the most of that extra man. James Rodriguez caught in possession. And Robert Glatzel makes it 1-1.
Yeah, win the ball back and lovely ball in from the right-hand side. This guy was going to end up having a very good day, the big striker. Super finish.
6 minutes before the break, Heidenheim would take the lead.
Bayern Munich all over the place defensively. All of a sudden, it's a 3v2 situation on the counter by Heidenheim. They play the ball out wide. Doesn't hit it cleanly, hits it into the ground, but actually ends up working out for them.
8 minutes into the second half. Bayern get the equaliser. Nice stuff from Thomas Müller.
Yeah, it's a smart header from Lewandowski to Müller, who swivels, and it just times this volley to perfection and smashes it home.
Just moments later, it's 3-2. Müller finds Lewandowski.
Yeah, and he's picking him out. He's not shooting there, so he absolutely knows what he's doing. And Lewandowski just keeps himself onside here. He's level.
It'll be a frantic 10 minutes because Bayern with them would make it 4-2. Gnabry at the back post.
Optional defending at the back post. They think it's offside initially. They check it over VAR, and they can see very clearly that Gnabry is in an onside position. Tap in 4-2, it's over, right?
Yeah, well, that's what we thought. That was it. You know, go home. However, Glatzel, that makes it 4-3.
Yeah, I think Ulrich should do better here. Glatzel with a strike. I mean, he's stretching. He's not got that much pace on it and just creeps in the bottom corner.
And then a penalty to Heidenheim. Hummels committing the foul.
Well, he gets himself so square here, Hummels, that it's just too easy to go past. And then he stabs a leg out, and then there's contact outside and inside the box. Penalty kick.
So Glatzel on his hat-trick, makes no mistake. 4-4. And it looked like we were going to extra time, but then 7 minutes remaining, penalty by Munich.
Lewandowski tries to bring the ball down, and Marlon Bush, well, chicken wings, sticks his arm out there. Clearly a penalty, and Lewandowski, little stutter step, no problem, 5-4. It's over.
What a game. Remember, next up for Bayern is Borussia Dortmund in the league. Meanwhile, in the other cup game, Schalke taking on Werder Bremen. This one goalless, which you take it into the 65th minute. Rashika, this is a great goal to make it 1-0. Look at this.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Create space for himself. First touch forward, second touch. See you later. Goalkeeper courtesy dive. Beautiful.
And then Werder Bremen's place in the semi-final would be sealed thanks to Klassen's cheeky finish.
Well, he didn't do that at Everton, I know that. It's a lovely little...
What does that have to do with this highlight?
Well, it's a lovely little dink with the outside of his foot that he couldn't do when he was at Everton. Otherwise, he'd still be there.
Oh, poor Mariner, devastating.
Come on, Paul. Come on home, Paul.
So we're sorted then. Hamburg, Leipzig, Bayern Munich and Werder Bremen in the semi-finals. Meanwhile, in the Eredivisie, Ajax with a chance to go top of the table. They were away against Emmen. Of course, Ajax take on Juventus next week in the Champions League. 9 minutes into this one, Van der Beek would make it 1-0.
It's good build-up, couple of 1-2s, Thurman running, Van der Beek with a nice finish. Everything is great. You're winning away from home. What could possibly go wrong?
Then on the stroke at half-time, Ajax will make it 2. You make it sound like something would go wrong. Daily Blind.
I think I misread that.
I think you might be right.
What? Why did they say?
Well, what have I told you about these short sheets?
Into the second half. Where can it go wrong for Ajax as they make it 3-0?
Oh.
David Neres.
Did you just wait? Evan, they're coming back. Okay, maybe not.
It would be quite a comeback because 2 minutes later, Klaas-Jan Huntelaar would get into the action to make it 4-0.
God, he's still going.
Gets a deflection there as well. Bit of luck.
It's going to turn around.
Yeah, taking it.
Yeah, well.
A bit hurry up. We're in the. Only
on the
30
hour
minutes
mark,
to go.
Uma's own goal makes it 5-0.
Okay, maybe it's not going to turn around now.
This is quite an own goal. Take a look
Oh! I told you it was going to turn
Comeback's
around.
on.
We've got too much pace on this.
What could possibly go wrong? There you go.
What?
Goalie.
Ajax then with the win that puts them top of the Eredivisie. However, PSV do have a game in hand. MLS action for you this weekend. FC Cincinnati. The condemnation of Bonucci's comments was widespread over the last 24 hours. Just one example here, Raheem Sterling. The blame is 50-50. All you can do now is laugh. Well, as we go to air, Bonucci has released this statement saying, after 24 hours, I want to clarify my feelings. Yesterday, I was interviewed right at the end of the game. My words have been clearly misunderstood, probably because I was too hasty in the way I expressed my thoughts. Hours and years wouldn't be enough to talk about this topic. I firmly condemn all forms of racism and discrimination. The abuses are not acceptable at all, and this must not be misunderstood. To be honest, Paolo, I don't want to dwell too much on that apology. You know, I think it's too little, too late. What I'm intrigued in is the reaction pretty much from everyone else has been shock from what Bonucci has said. What was the reaction within Italy?
Yeah, I think it was more muted in Italy than it was internationally, which in itself tells you a story. It, of course, made it into all of the papers. It, of course, was a big feature in all of the papers. But I think a surprising number of the reports that I read in the newspapers this morning, they were really sort of focusing on, oh, well, you know, we didn't hear much of this racism until, or the chanting until after the goal had been scored. It was a reaction to this. There was a lot of this sort of equivocating, a lot of this saying, oh, well, Ken could have done something differently as well. And I found it, very, to me, it struck a wrong note, a lot of the coverage that I saw in Italy. And I think it was, you know, it does give you an indication of why this is such a big problem to address, because it isn't just about people being racist inside a stadium. It's about cultural values. It's about how a whole society acts, of course, and you're addressing something like this.
Obviously, Bonucci's put out this apology.
Which is pathetic.
Yeah,
because he came out and said it's 50-50. What absolutely ludicrous thing to say, that a young man has to temper his celebration as to what? Not to incite racism from the crowd. What utter dross from Bonucci. Honestly, you couldn't make it up. And as Paolo said, it's absolutely damning of the Italian press that the hammer has not come down here on Bonucci and everybody else involved. The fact that they're soft soaping this tells you all you need to know about what's going on. Not from everybody, from a lot of people inside that country.
Within the locker room, you would hope for an apology from Bonucci to Ken as well, obviously.
I would certainly hope so. The first thing that I thought about with that, though, was who actually wrote that?
Oh,
Was it one Bonucci?
No.
You got to do away with enablers. And newspapers not covering this the way that they should. Correct. Bonucci saying the things that he has said, not getting the support that you should be getting if you're Moise Kean. That's enabling racism. That has to stop.
Ali, Craig, Stevie and Paolo, thank you very much. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, goodbye. Hello and a very warm welcome to Extra Time. No one's listened to me at all about this show today. They haven't listened to me about this first tweet either. If Liverpool and City both finish with 95+ points, is this the greatest league title race ever in any league?
Oh, goodness.
What's wrong with people?
Well, I don't wish to bring it up.
89.
Correct. Lost it on goal difference.
For people who maybe weren't around then, the scenario was that Arsenal had to go to Anfield on the final day and beat you guys by 2 goals.
Correct. Yeah. Unfortunately for us, we had that was our 6th game in, I'm going to say, 15 days. So we had nothing left. And actually, Arsenal hadn't had a game for about 2.5 weeks,
Right.
maybe even 3 weeks. So they weren't actually in good nick either, just because they hadn't played, they were rusty. So the game was absolutely awful, which was fine for us.
Was it Michael Thomas scoring the winner?
Michael Thomas in the 90th minute to make it 2-0. So we lost the league on goal difference.
Paolo is an Arsenal supporter.
What a moment.
What are your memories of that, Paolo?
Truthfully, I was 6 years old when that happened, so my memories of it are fairly scarce. But through the joys of YouTube and also Nick Hornby books and movies, I've been able to relive it as if I was an older person at the time when it happened. Yeah.
How did you get on the
Nothing
following
but
year?
fond memories. Again, I was only 7, so my attention wasn't quite what it is now.
Do you want me to tell you what happened? Let me tell you what happened.
Kids? Hey, you 6-year-old kids, what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, 7-year-old kids. What happened next year?
If I
beats.
could, I'd take the batteries out your toys. That's what I'd have done.
Why are you saying that people are not listening to you? What's the
No,
matter?
don't worry about it.
Well, because he's tried to shape this show today.
He thinks he's at home.
I definitely don't shoot things there. Is Ali Moreno backtracking on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer yet?
No, sir. But it's a fluid situation.
Yeah, do you think this could change?
Well, it could change, but I think at the time it was the right decision.
Right.
I'll stick to that.
Was it worth the gamble?
Hold on a second. That was only a week ago. Now
I know.
you've changed your mind.
That's why I say it's a fluid situation.
A week ago.
I tell you what, that bloody Tottenham Stadium. You didn't want that in the start of the show, and it just set you off. Who wants it? See, it's a stadium, for God's sake. It's a nice stadium.
I'll be hanging around you for
Why
too long.
are we starting the show? Why are we starting the show with a shot at a stadium? It's just a stadium.
Hey, I'm professional, did as I told. That was
Well,
To be fair,
that's it.
I think you buckled.
Yeah.
Because when the scenes rolled in, you
Yeah.
should just have blanked it.
That would have been it, just silence.
Yeah,
for the new
so
stadium.
come on with silence, right? But you bottled
Did
it.
you like the fireworks?
yeah.
Do you know what? I don't like fireworks in real life, let alone to start the show.
What's wrong with you?
Oh, fireworks are boring.
What's wrong with
Like 10
fireworks?
seconds of
Fireworks are
fireworks.
boring.
Fireworks are boring.
Oh.
You know the ones that go on for 20 minutes?
Have you ever been to Disney World?
Yes.
You didn't think they were boring?
No, but that's kind of
Oh,
different.
so, well, there you go. You've changed your tune like that.
It's a fluid situation.
Yeah, you can't.
You're
You're such a man of principle. I hate them. No, never do.
I'm
No, I like
also
them.
not stupid enough to sit here and have a go at Disney in any way, Stephen. Let's be honest.
Have some backbone.
Nope. No backbone.
Yeah.
Paolo, I forgot what we're asking you now. Solskjaer.
You need my take on fireworks,
No,
right?
they're overrated. Solskjaer, yes or no?
I think this is definitely a fascinating time. I mean, he was given the job on the back of this brilliant start, and the one thing we hadn't seen during that brilliant start is how he reacts to adversity as a manager. What happens when things do turn against them? Does he react well to it, or does he struggle? And that's what we're going to learn in the next few weeks. I think the jury is out, but he's had a very positive start. I think he'll come through it. I think he will. I think he's got a low bar set for him by some of his predecessors, but. Yeah, I think he'll come through it, but I do think it was a surprising choice by Manchester United to make that permanent decision when they didn't need to make it yet, when we hadn't seen whether or not he was good at handling adversity in these situations.
As an Arsenal fan, you're happy about it, though, yeah?
I'm happy that teams that aren't Arsenal are dropping points, yes.
Who goes first, Paolo, Spalletti, or Icardi? Where are you going, Paolo?
Who goes first between me, Spalletti, and Icardi?
Yep.
I don't understand the question.
Oh,
Do you know
sorry.
what?
Oh,
Can you not read properly?
Look at the apostrophe.
what do you mean?
You mean the
There's
comma?
an apostrophe there.
You mean the comma?
The comma.
The comma.
Comma, sorry. Comma. There's a comma there.
Did you interview for this job?
It's been a long day.
Who goes first, Paolo?
Comma.
Spalletti or
Apostrophe.
Icardi?
Do you know what? I think very possibly at this point it would be in Inter's best interest if they both went together in the summer. I really... Spalletti drives me up the wall, if I'm being honest with you. It's like every interview is a piece of performance art. It's so absurd, the rants he gets into, the knots he ties himself in, only to contradict himself moments later. I don't think he's the manager to take Inter forwards in the long term, even though he is a good tactician. I have to give him that. He is a good tactician. So I think it would be in Inter's interest to look at the options this summer at manager. And I think that Icardi at this point possibly has has made his position at the club untenable. I think they're going to get through to the end of the season together because they have to. But if there's a serious suitor willing to offer the sort of money that's in his release clause, which is over 100 million euros, of course, I think Inter would have to look long and hard at it because it's been so disruptive, the soap opera this season, with him, with Wanza, with everything else. And I think there's possibly now too many bridges that have been burned for that to be undone.
I'm going to check the grammar before I read this.
Let's call the grammar, please.
Archo.
Sorry?
Callum Hudson-Odoi. And RLC.
Ruben Loftus. Cheek.
There you go. The key for
Is this a quiz?
We're doing a quiz here. You failed on both go questions.
What's your name? Do you know?
At least let me know before we start.
You're SN. SN.
The key for Chelsea to make the top 4. That lineup today looked really impressive, and Jorginho played great too. Winky face.
Oh. Well,
Where do you stand on the use of emojis, Ali?
I'm not very active with emojis.
No?
I barely use my phone, to be honest with you.
No winky face?
No winky faces.
Kissy faces?
No kissy faces. The key for that is neither one of those guys is Mauricio Sarri, getting out of his own way.
No.
And making the decisions that actually benefit the team in the immediate and long term.
Bit of a slight on Higuain, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it hasn't worked, has it?
Out's Phil.
Giroud
in.
Final question is to Paolo, comma. Where is...
Apostrophe.
Apostrophe. Where is the best place to get lasagna in Italy?
Lasagna.
Any colons there, no?
No colons.
No.
Look, my opinion is that the best pasta you will find in Italy is always in Bologna. So lasagna falls in that category. It's not the specialty of Bologna lasagna. You want to go to Bologna, obviously, for the ragu, for tortellini in brodo, pasta in broth. But I would get my lasagna there too, because all the pasta in Bologna is the best pasta.
Well, let's be honest, Paolo. Your butcher story didn't really carry much weight from Rome, did it? It's not really worked, is it? The old
You guys gave me a hard time about that story, and I was chatting with Gab about it, and he was very upset because that story's in his book, which you all have. So of course you already knew it.
Yeah.
Who wrote Gab's book for him? I thought everybody got something to do it for them, no?
Hey, can you do the winky face again to me?
Okay, winky face. Right, that is it. We're done.
Nice.
Extra time is over. We'll be bonetti's tomorrow. I think Bonetti's here tomorrow. Sid Lowe's here. I'm off. Are you off?
Correct.
Stevie, you off?
Yeah, we're
I'm here.
Hey, we're golfing tomorrow.
Oh.
First one for the
First
season.
one for the
Stephen.
season,
What can
yeah.
possibly go wrong?
1 o'clock, the sun will be out.